got a coastal flood warning, guys.
Coastal flood warning in effect from
coastal
7
flood
a.m. to
warning.
2 p.m. Saturday.
It didn't go off. I don't
What?
know why.
2 to 2.5. Locally 3 feet of inundation
Yeah,
above
got
ground
coastal
level
flood
expected
warning.
in vulnerable areas
Yeah,
near the
guys, we got a
waterfront and
coastal flood
shoreline.
warning.
Where? Southern Queens County.
Southern Queens County.
When? From 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Saturday. Coastal flood impacts. Widespread moderate to locally major flooding of vulnerable areas near the waterfront and shoreline Saturday morning, with 2 to 2.5 feet. Locally 3 feet of inundation above ground level in low-lying, vulnerable areas. This will result in numerous road closures and cause widespread flooding of low-lying property, including parking lots, parks, lawns, and homes, businesses with basements near the waterfront. Vehicles parked in vulnerable areas near the waterfront will likely become flooded and destroyed. Flooding will also extend inland from the waterfront along tidal rivers and
This is
bays.
so rare, dude.
Shoreline impacts. Breaking waves of 8 to 12 feet along
Yeah,
the ocean
that's
front
the
may
flood
result in
warning.
scattered dune erosion and localized overwashes.
It's better with the lights on.
Localized flooding of roadways and vulnerable
Yo,
structures
we got
behind
rare.
protective dunes is possible. Additional details. The timing of a wind shift from
Okay,
southeasterly to southwesterly gales in relation to the time of high tide Saturday morning will be key to the water level forecast. Peak surge of 3 to 4 feet will be likely between times of high tide Friday evening and Saturday morning. Tidal piling may inhibit the recession of water before the Saturday high tide, which would cause major flooding around 3 feet of inundation above ground. Residents in coastal communities in this area should prepare for the potential of major coastal flooding, 3 feet of inundation above
Got a
ground.
coastal flood warning.
This will be
This is
refined
rare.
over the next 24 to 36 hours. Take the necessary actions
Let's
to protect flood-prone
go.
property.
I
If
think it's
travel
gonna
is
be a double
required,
header.
do
I
not
don't
drive
know.
around barricades or
Not
through water of
sure.
unknown
We'll have
depth.
to find out. Double header. Oh yes, it's a double header. Wow. Wow, we got a double header. Let's go. We got a double header. Yo, we got a double header.
Coastal flood warning in effect from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday.
Yo, let's go.
2.5 to 3 feet of inundation above ground level expected in vulnerable areas near the waterfront and shoreline. Where? Southwest Suffolk, Southeast Suffolk, and Southern Nassau
Yo, we
counties.
got another
When? From 7
CFW.
a.m. to 6
A
p.m.
double
Saturday.
header. Let's
Coastal flood
go.
impacts. Widespread moderate to major flooding of vulnerable areas near the waterfront and shoreline Saturday morning, with 2.5 feet to 3 feet of inundation above ground level in low-lying, vulnerable areas. This will result in extensive road closures and flooding of low-lying property, including parking lots, parks, lawns, and first floors and basements of homes, businesses near the waterfront. Vehicles parked in vulnerable areas near the waterfront will likely become flooded and or submerged. Flooding will likely also extend inland from typical flood-prone areas along the tidal rivers and bays, causing flooding in some areas that typically don't see flooding. Shoreline impacts. Large breaking waves of 12 to 16 feet along the ocean front will likely result in widespread dune erosion and damage to dune structures. Scattered overwashes are likely, resulting in some flooding of roadways and vulnerable structures behind protective dunes. Isolated breaches or inundation of the barrier island is possible where dune structures have been severely compromised by previous storms. Additional details. Peak surge of 3 to 4 feet will be likely between times of high tide Friday evening and Saturday morning. Tidal piling will likely inhibit the recession of water before the Saturday high tide, which will likely cause major flooding 3 feet above ground for areas from Freeport to Mastic and along the bay side of Fire Island. West to southwest gale winds will likely keep waters elevated well into Saturday afternoon, along with 2 to 3 feet of wave action along the eastern Great South Bay. Resident and coastal communities in this area should prepare for the potential of major coastal flooding, 3 feet of inundation above ground.